We continue where we left off. This will be Bible 1013. And we were in the middle of the book of the Psalms, but we could not finish that for some reason because it shut me off at a certain time period. So I was right in the middle of telling you about the Psalms. It says the Psalter, the first American music ever written in the setting of music of the Puritan Psalter and others. Now, as we continue with the next page, what we find here, musical settings of the Psalter are particularly important in the Lutheran Church and in the Eastern Orthodox monastic traditions. Composers throughout history have also set separate groups of psalms to music. All right, now the next part of the wisdom books, that was Psalms. The next part of the wisdom book is called Proverbs. These are a collection of wisdom sayings. The next book is Ecclesiastes. That's a very oriental book. And the next is the Song of Songs, or Song of Solomon, an allegory of love. And the Book of Wisdom, Catholic book only, and Ecclesiastics, Catholic book only. Now, let me just take a second here. I think what we've done is to get to the prophetic books, and we will do that next. So let's see how much time we have. Yes, let's do prophetic books. These books are called the prophets. They record the men who became the conscience of the Jews during the historical period of the historical books, and beyond that period into disaster. They interpret current events, injustice, and idolatry, and forecast or prophesy the consequences of the conquest and exile and destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Some prophets during the period of the exile forecast repentance and return to the land and the rebuilding of the temple. Others go further and foretell ultimate justice only at the end of the world, or an eon. This last type is called apocalyptic or eschatological, meaning in Greek, end of age, or end or timeless. There are 18 prophetic books. Usually they are categorized as major and minor prophets, but this is not very helpful or realistic. But here's what they are anyway. I'll tell you the prophetic books are the book of Isaiah, major prophet. Much of Christ's characteristics are forecast according to Protestants in the book of Isaiah. The book of Jeremiah is a major prophet. Great ethical statements. Bernstein sets part of this book to a symphony, the composer Leonard Bernstein, that is. Lamentations is number 3. Baruch is number 4. Ezekiel, visionary symbolism, is number 5. Number 6 is Daniel, a highly symbolic book. Number 7 is Hosea, symbol of Israel as Hor, W-H-O-R-E. 8 is Joel. 9 is Amos. 10 is Obadiah. 11 is Jonah. 12 is Micah. 13 is Nahum. 14 is Habakkuk. 15 is Zephaniah. 16 is Haggai. 17 is Zechariah. And 18 is Malachi. Now, those are the prophetic books. That is the last segment of books in the Old Testament. So if we are to go any further in this basic outline, then we will need to go to the New Testament. Now, as I said before, if we go to the New Testament, or New Covenant, is divided into Gospels. In the Greek, that means good news, and epistles. In Greek, that means letters. And the book of Acts, Acts of the Apostles, and Revelation, the last book, which is like the apocalyptic and eschatological prophets. Now, let's see, in the Gospels were recorded all the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. There are 4 Gospels in that: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The book of Acts tells of the work of the disciples as Jesus after his death and resurrection. Acts was written by a writer of the Gospel of Luke. In other words, Luke not only wrote the Gospel of Luke, but he also wrote the book of Acts. The epistles and letters of Paul to existing early churches and by early Christians for each other or Gentiles. There are 4 letters of Paul and 7 general letters. And then you finally come to the book of Revelation, highly symbolic, and tells of the end of time or the end of life in an era or an epoch or the world. Now that book, of course, has 4 general interpretations, 4 general ways of looking at it. And I have several books, and I've talked about that separately. You may go to learn about that. Now, before we go any further, I may run out of time like I did last time. So where we'll start off next time with this is about the Gospels and the book of Acts. We hope you have enjoyed this small presentation and have a wonderful day.